Hello guys, thanks a lot for coming tonight. My name is Jose Salinas and I'm a game designer. I'm currently owner of Cruise Control Entertainment. I guess my background, I went to school, have a five-year degree, a bachelor's in game design, and I also worked with a company called Winterleaf Entertainment for 3 years as a 3D character artist. And after that, I just wanted to do my own thing and bring the industry to the Valley, because there isn't any over here. And I started messing around with the Unreal Engine 4 like 2 years ago when it came out. And now, recently, we're in the process of trying to bring more people in and start teaching the research and development that we came across with. According to the Entertainment Software Association, in 2014, video games revenue $5.3 billion, and computer games and downloaded content $10.1 billion. And this figure overall has been steady for the past 3 years, with downloadable content and increasing every year. And this is why we want to bring the industry to the Valley, because it's a very big industry and we need to get on it. Tonight, my most presentation is going to be on gameplay mechanics using the blueprints. It's a scripting language that is built inside Unreal Engine to make your gameplay mechanics. And it's done by Epic Games, the creators of Unreal Tournament and Gears of War. A game engine. What is a game engine? A software framework designed for the creation and development of video games. Some of the core functionalities include rendering engine for 2D and 3D graphics, a physics engine or collision detection, scripting language, which is blueprints in this situation, and it has an audio engine and an animation engine. They're all smashed together to form the Unreal Engine 4. The main purpose for an engine is to reuse and adapt the same functions to create different games. This makes game development process a lot faster if you want to create multiple games. Unity and CryEngine are the other two good ones that you can get if you're an independent developer. As Unity is free, but if you really want to publish stuff, you have to pay licensing. With a CryEngine, you only need to be paying $10 a month, and you can use their tools. And as soon as you're done, you can publish your game anytime. They don't claim any royalties. How the Unreal Engine works is if you start making more than $3,000 each quarter, Epic Games claims a 5% royalty. So that's all you would have to pay for Unreal. But Unreal, you can go and download it and use it however you want. But if you start making more than $3,000 each quarter, they demand a 5% of royalties. These are other big game engines used by the big industry. The Havoc is a third-party program, which is kind of integrated on their own engines. The Anvil Next was used in Assassin's Creed games, and they really heavy modify their engines. The Frostbite engine is used with EA uses that engine. They use it for Need for Speed and Battlefield 4 and 3, I think. And the Glacier 2 is Hitman. And these engines you can't really get. It's their own in-house engine. But before they would never like, oh, we have this engine. But now, since engines are a big thing, they kind of like, oh, this is our engine. This is what it can do. But you can't really get it. Okay. I'm going to show that video right now.
With a little help from Smite developer Hi-Res Studios, we're here to give you some tips for getting your dream job. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're bringing you the top 10 tips for getting into the gaming industry. Number 10, check your ego at the door. I know there's a few of you out there that are desperate to see your best idea come to reality, and also dream about getting perfect 10 review scores and winning numerous Game of the Year awards on your first game. But believe us, that is not a likely scenario. One of the biggest misconceptions about video games is thinking that cool concepts alone make a great game. Don't knock on a developer's door saying that you've got the best idea. You won't have been the first.
Your great idea's probably been thought of before. We have too many ideas in the game industry. It's all about whether you can execute them well.
Number 9, attend developers conferences. While it's not a one-size-fits-all solution for getting in the door, dev conferences can serve as a good way to get other developers to know you. Some conferences may even
And
have
as a
panels or
developer, you get
workshops
easy
on what
access to
certain
these.
companies are
We go
looking
to
for.
these PAX,
However, it is absolutely essential that you
E3.
actually
We already have the
something to prove before you
tickets.
start rubbing shoulders with some of the industry's best. And don't get discouraged if you don't leave with a killer lead.
They go to like GC or any of these conferences, and they kind of put all of their eggs in the networking basket, like, oh, I'm going to meet the right person, and that's going to get me this job. It's like, that works. Yes, sometimes it is the people you know. But a lot of the times, you really need to be able to prove with that networking that you are the right person for that job.
Number 8, apply as a QA tester. Often the most common entry-level role you can get when starting out is applying for quality assurance roles.
Quality assurance can be a great entry path into the game industry. It's basically testing, and there's a lot of people that want to test video games, but they have to realize that it's different from playing video games. You're actually playing the game in order to break the game.
Essentially, if you're one of those people who likes to push the game to their limits and try to do things you probably shouldn't be doing,
This is the
might be a
Smite
good
game.
job for you. A lot of higher-profile game developers started out in QA and worked their way up, making this a choice idea for getting your foot in the door.
You're basically producing bug reports so that the programmers and the artists can find what you detected, reliably reproduce it, and then fix it.
Number 7, build an online portfolio.
Let's see, I'm 1.8 meters tall, ruggedly handsome, chiseled abs, amazing hair.
This should be a no-brainer, especially if you're an artist, but getting a portfolio or a showreel online that's easy to access by anyone is really important for getting any job in the industry. It doesn't matter if all the content isn't game-related, as employers are often looking to see if you are skilled and well-experienced enough to handle the work. A well-organized portfolio and resume is an easy way to convey this.
From an art perspective, it's really all about your portfolio. It's the quality of the work. It doesn't really matter how you got there, whether it was from art school or self-taught. It's all about a really awesome portfolio that'll just blow away an employer.
Number 6, internships and practical experience. This is very good if you're just starting out, or you need to get the feel of working with a team. Internships might not be great for your morale since you won't be getting paid, but it certainly helps for all those job listings that say you need 2 to 3 years of experience. Yes, taking up internships and getting work experience seems like something that can go with any field, but it's just as relevant here as in any other real-world job. While there are horror stories of interns being overworked for no financial reward, ideally, you'll be in the right place when they start looking to fill paying positions.
One thing I would tell anyone looking to get in the game industry is that you have to be insanely just persistent and tenacious. You cannot give up after the first no. You have to just never give up. Doesn't matter how many no's you get.
Number 5, get into social media.
Thank you all so much for supporting us and continuing to support us, watching us on YouTube and on Twitch.
This one is for all you who prefer to get a job as a video game journalist, reviewer, or live streamer. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Set yourself up with an online presence for greater recognition. You can and should alternatively write lots of blogs on gaming. And don't stop, because whether it's on gaming news, reviews, or opinions in the industry, the more you write, the better you'll get at it. For more on live streaming, check out our video on top 10 ways to make money playing video games.
There's several things that can make you unique and different from a streamer, but you don't just want to be a bland, boring personality that's mediocre at the game. You're not going to get viewers that way.
Number 4, specialize in your field. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in a job interview is to say that you'll do anything. Remember, you're not the only one going for that job. It's usually about sticking to one field and being the best at it, not just doing everything sort of averagely.
Make sure you know what you want to do when you go in for your interview. Don't kind of say that you can do multiple things or that you're a jack of all trades. No one's really looking for someone to do multiple things out the gate. They want to know what you can specialize in.
The main fields for any development team are usually art design, programming, and game design. You'll basically need to pick one and focus the best you can. Though with game design, best to hear it for yourself.
Game design is tough. You usually have to claw your way in and then eventually move across to doing design.
Number 3, a college education. These days, many colleges offer degrees in the fundamentals of game design, programming, and the expectations you'll meet in your career. It's especially important to get a college degree if you want to get into programming, as most employers will require you to be familiar in common programming languages. However, people working in the industry come from a variety of academic backgrounds, not just programming or game design. Higher education clearly makes you a better candidate for a number of reasons. You get better writing, better social skills, better time management ability. More school probably won't hurt your chances.
I'd encourage people to go to the best school that they can and really try to get good grades, because that helps you get your foot in the door. It helps your resume stand ahead.
Number 2, start making games.
There's a video game I'm making.
How about a side project?
Oh, good for you, honey.
Even if it's in your spare time, it's just a hobby, or starting a small studio with your friends and college classmates, if you want to start making games, you better start doing it now. Honestly, there is no better teacher to highlight your strengths and weaknesses than yourself. Your first project will probably suck, yes, but it's all part of the learning experience. The internet is awash with tools and tutorials that can help you make your first game, many of them absolutely free or for a very reasonable sum. If you can include a small game or demo in your portfolio, that's certainly going to earn you extra points with employers, and will help demonstrate your dedication, which, of course, leads to our #1 tip.
If you're not willing to sacrifice your weekends and nights, then someone else is going to, and they're going to step on there and make sure that you don't get that job.
#1, be dedicated. Like, really dedicated. It's a really cutthroat industry out there. Everyone wants to make video games. You're potentially looking at 70-hour work weeks on average, so be sure that you're absolutely passionate about making games. Also, be ready to move to another state or even another country when going to your next job with only a few months' notice, especially if there's nothing in your immediate vicinity.
You might be in one part of the country, maybe someone says yes to you, but they're like a couple states over. Go take that job. You need that experience. That's the most important thing.
If you aren't willing to put in the work, chances are there's someone else who will. And, perhaps most importantly, always be willing to admit that you screwed up. Because if you think your boss is a tough critic, wait till you start hearing from consumers.
Always work harder than the person next to you, even if it's yourself. You are never working hard enough. I do 60, 70-hour weeks on the normal.
Do you agree with our list?
Oh, now be honest, Apollo. Are you as thick as you look?
Is there any other advice you'd be willing to give anyone who wants to start making video games?
Don't be a dick. All right. Yeah.
For more informative top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Okay. Like, with that being said, the #2 reason was start making games. So the best way to do it is to get one of the engines. Whoops. Sorry about that. One of the engines that you can get, like Unreal Engine 4 or Unity or the CryEngine, and start messing around with these. Let's see. This right here is the Unreal Engine 4. When I'm gonna shadow this one. When you go to the website and you hit you sign up and then you download, you get this manager. And here in your libraries, you can add your engine version because each time they update it. So right now, these are all the engines that I have, the versions of them. And once you have a version of an engine, you click here, launch. So you're gonna launch it. When you're developing a game, it's not a good thing to update your engine. Because every time you update your engine, you have to make a lot of changes in your game because stuff is made different in each update. In each major update, like the 4.6 can't really do stuff that all these other can. So you would have to port your game to that version. So it's just okay if you just stay with that version for your first game, and then on your next game that you make, then you go to the newest version. It's not really a good idea to be importing your engine to other versions. When you're gonna get this project, you hit new project, and right here you can either do your game in Blueprints, it's the visual scripting language, or just pure C++. Because this game engine is written in C++, the source code is available, you can get it, and so you can make your own tools. But this Blueprint, you can do both Blueprint and C++ with Blueprints. And these are the starter kits, mainly how the player is going to react to the controllers. You can start in any of these and customize it to be any of them. But the one that I like to start with is the third person. So I'm just gonna click that one. I'm gonna type in the name of the project and just go GB and create project. I'll see how long it takes. Oh, it's over here. It's creating the project right now. Also, a lot of times a lot of engines kind of work the same, you need to import all your assets in from your third-party programs that you're using to create your art, your music. Like 3D Max is the ones that we use right now to create the 3D objects. Here I made this sword. Those are the polys. So it's good to make a new folder in your desktop. Wow. A new folder and call it the same as your project. Assets. This is where you're gonna put all your files that you're gonna import to the Unreal Engine. You're gonna export the files from the other third-party program, from like 3D Max. Here, once you have your finished project, you go to File, Export, and you want to find that folder that you created. If I can find it. Which one? This one?
The third one down from the third column. From left to right.
Oh snap! Wow. I'm gonna name it Sword or whatever. And make sure it depends on the game engine on what file to export it as. The Unreal Engine uses FBX. I believe Unity as well. You put FBX and save it. And there it is. Oh, you get this option menu. You can embed the media or not if you want to. I'm not going to do that right now, so I can show the material editor in Unreal Engine. But you make sure a material is a material slot is assigned, because each 3D packaging program has material editor, like a material that you assign to it. At least this ID, each has its own ID. At least it needs to have at least one ID. If not, Unreal Engine is like, it doesn't have texture on it. Yes. They use a 3D Max. A lot. The 3D Max and Maya, they're created by Autodesktop. They create AutoCAD and Revit. All these major companies always use the AutoCAD as the best. I mean, Autodesk softwares. And for filming, they also use like Photoshop. What was it? Adobe Premiere, huh? With for film, just would be the same for 3D Max and making the models and rendering scenes, because it has a timeline here, your frames, and you can make animations in here. 3D Max also handles all the animations that are going to be in Unreal Engine 4. Now, before, with the Unreal Engine 3, they couldn't really make movies, but with Unreal Engine 4 now, that's awesome. You can make your animated movies there and program the cameras and program how the animations are going to work out and play it in real time as well. So you can make movies in Unreal Engine 4. Okay, once you created your project, this is the project that pops up. Right here, this is your window where they're rendering your game. It's semi-real time, like some of the things are in real time. This right here is your content browser. It could be accessed through your folders in My Documents and Unreal Projects, and all your projects are there on the folder, and they have this content. You can get all the content from your folder, but it's better. You can actually also save like all your exported files from like 3D Max or Photoshop into the content browser that you have in My Projects, in My Documents, but I don't really recommend that much. It's better if you have your assets folder and then drop everything from there into the engine itself, so there won't be that much errors. and you can reuse those assets and access them a lot faster than going to My Documents and Unreal Projects, and then you have to go to your content folder and then go to see where you found it. So, for example, right here, this is the content folder. This is what it comes with, like as a starter kit. The blueprints. This, the most important one is this one, the third person character. You can hit play, and you have this third person character running around, and he can jump. This is what you get out of the box, so the third person starter kit. This is the blueprint for it. There are like two major types of objects in here in Unreal Engine. One is just a static mesh, which would be an object that is just going to be there and it's not going to be doing anything. It could either have collision or not. And the other type would be an actor, would be a static mesh, but it does something, and you can script it and you can animate it. It's going to be like acting in your world. This is made up of an actor, which has a character. Influences. Well, how to make a blueprint? You just right click and you make a blueprint class, and then you specify. The actor is just an object that's going to be moving. A pawn is more of something that you can possess, like a car or a flying vehicle. The character is the one that you want for a character because he has a physics for and gravity, like running, and like how fast he's going to be running. And also this one's used for finding the path for the artificial intelligence. So this blueprint right here is pretty much this character. And then this is what you get when you create a character. And this is the mesh. You can change it right here to another mesh. And blueprints, there's like 3 or 4 types of different blueprints. This right here is the most basic one. It comes with an event graph and a viewport of what you have. Here in this event graph is where you do all the scripting. Like you can see here how they did their movement. The input axis movement forward. You just really connect pins. And you get this node where you right click and you want to add movement and input is right here. Is this one, and then you just connect the pin. Let's connect these two. And connect that one there, and this one right there, because it's going to be scaling off. You get the controller rotation. These functions you just get, if you want to get controller again, get controller rotation. It was right there. Oh, player controller. Oh, you get that one, and then you break the point, and you just want to get the Z yawn, make, and then get forward vector and right vector. Here it says input action. How you get if you go here to edit preferences, and you do,
Is that mostly what you're doing? You're connecting the dots, or?
yes.
I thought there was programming behind this.
It's a visual scripting. You set up your variables there. Here you go to input, and the input action. You want to add one. You name it whatever you want, like sword attack, and then you specify the button that you want it to be pressed. We'll do the mouse and the left mouse button. Yes. He's going to be swinging his attack when you click on that one. Once you set up that, you go into his blueprints. And you search for the word that you just typed in, sword. There it is. Did I misspelled it? I didn't put the D. Wow. Okay, sword attack. There we go. So it's saying input action. When you press it, what's going to happen? Right? And then I want to play an animation. Oh, I did not export the animations. Okay, give me 1 second. Well, it's cool because this is another project that I made to shadow this one. I have all my animations that I made here, but I made them in this computer. So you can get all the assets here and export them to another project. You can right click, asset actions. You can migrate it or export it. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna export it. There in my desktop, Sword Tech 1. There you go. Okay, so now I'm gonna jump back over here. I'm gonna go to my mannequin, my animations. This is what I was talking about, the animation engine. Unreal Engine has an awesome animation engine. You can use the same animations for as many characters as you want differently. Like all these will be sharing the animations. All you have to do is name the bones the same. This thing is called Persona Engine. Here you can see the bones that you exported and how you name them from the third-party program. It's either 3D Max or Blender, and you can even rename them from here. And as long as the bones have the same name, they share the same animations. Right now. No, yes.
Right now you're trying to import
The animation that I exported from the Sword Attack 1. And you just drag it into here. And it gives you this. Gives you this option. Here you select the skeleton type. When you first import the first mesh with that skeleton, you name the skeleton, you give it a skeleton name. So that way all the other skeleton animations that you're going to import, you assign it to the same one. So it means that's that one. And then you just import. And there it is. He's swinging. But first, he doesn't have a weapon to swing. So I'm going to import the sword that I made. Well, I'm going to make a new folder here and just call it swords. That way I can have multiple swords and then just change them. Did I have blade? What? So when you drag, you get an option again. Here, you tell it if it has a skeletal mesh or not. The sword doesn't. And if you want to generate the collision automatically, which I don't. And I don't want to import the materials or textures. This is if you want to be lazy and you want to just be Unreal, make them your own. And they'll do them automatically, but I'll do them manually so you can get. So here you got the static mesh sword. It doesn't have a texture on it, but it does have a slot, an ID slot. Here it's cool because if you add different slots in 3D Max, how there were more, like you assign a slot for this one, to this part, and then you assign a slot for this part, and then it'll be like, okay, so the texture for this part is that one, and the texture for this part will be another one. So you can combine different textures into one object just by having different IDs. Here I'm going to import the materials. What you want to create is a material. You just right click and you go to a material. And this is another type of blueprint, but they all work very similar. You drag and drop stuff and you connect the pins. I'm going to just name this Blade 1 Matte. but it looks a little different than the other one. Oh, I need to import the other textures that I made for it in Photoshop, and the normal map. I don't know if people know what that is. A bump map. Basically, however the light is hitting it is gonna bump the texture, and that texture is done in Photoshop and 3D Max, this one. So you got your blueprint, and you want to drag in your diffuse and your normal in here. And all you do, you can this is gonna be my base color, and this is gonna be my normal map. And then you hit save. And now you have a material for this sword. So now in this here, you're gonna assign that material. You can just drag it into here, and now it's on it. Okay. Now what we want is this sword in the character. You go to its blueprint and into its viewport, and you go into your content browser where you put your sword. You can select it right here, and then you hear it says add component, and it's a static mesh, and it already says the blade one because I have it selected over here. You just click on it and it drops it on him. What is that? Okay, so you want it to be the sword on his hand, not just there. What you do is you go back to the bones in the mannequin. Let's do, doesn't matter. Right here, so you can, where it says your bone list, and you want to have the hand, right hand R. You right click here, you put add socket, and that's fine of a name. I'm just going to copy that, and you save it. So now the hand has a socket, and then you go back to its blueprint, to the viewport, and you select the mesh that you added, and right here, parent socket. You search for it. Well, it should appear right here. Is it? Whoops, technical difficulties. It's right here. Wow. Well, let me look at the other one. It's right here. Maybe he needs to be an actor. Alright, I want to make this its own actor. I think that could be the problem. So I'll go back to my sword. I thought I didn't have to do this. I'm going to create a blueprint class, just an actor by its own. I'm going to call it sword actor. When you get a blueprint as an actor first, you want to have some type of collision box first on its root. And you go here to collision, you can have a box, a capsule, or a sphere. I'm just going to use a box. And then you drag it up to the default one. And then here, we're going to drag in the sword like we did before and add a component.
Normally you have like 3 monitors in, so.
Alright. Let's see if that works. I'm gonna go back to my blueprint character, to the view. This one I'm just gonna drag it in here to the mesh. And we'll put it to the character. Oh, I think I had to inherit it. So I think that was the problem. I had to put it under the mesh. And that way, never mind. Oh, do I have to compile? There it is, yes. So you have to put it under the mesh and then compile. And then you get all the sockets that were there. Hand right socket. And then there it is. And then you have to fix it, move it, rotate it to where you just want to align it to its wrist, because the wrist is the one that's going to do most of the swinging. Right here, of course, it's going into the character, but this character is not going to be holding the sword with that idle animation. You would have to change his idle animation right after he swung. Instead of being like that, he'll hold it like this. So you don't have to worry about that right now. That it's colliding with him. All right, save it. So we're gonna go. Well, I think I was there. Now we're gonna make him swing it. Right here, when we define our button, you play animation, and you select sword attack 1. And you don't want it to loop. Let's see what happens. Play. He plays it, but he doesn't go back to his other animation. If you walk, he walks like that. You have to blend in his other animation. Like this is how I started to. As you can see, this is my sword attack. When he press it, I'll define. Well, I do a branch is something that's going to give you true or false depending on the condition. The condition is he falling? This character movement? If it's false, because I don't want him to swing the sword in the air if he's jumping. So only if this is false, if he's not in the air. And this is the sword count variable. Here are your variables, and you can just like add a variable, name it, whatever, and they're color coded. The red is a boolean, and you can specify what you want to byte, an integer, a float, a name, a string. Unreal Engine goes very deep on variables. They have all these advanced that you can declare as variables. I only just go with the integers and booleans. As you can see, I only created this integer and these booleans. So this integer is set up at 1 at the beginning. So I'm saying if this is false, then give me another condition, and this is happening right after I just pushed my button. It's going to execute this code, and it's going to say if my sword count is 1, which it is, if this is true, then sword count set it to 0, because I don't want my player to be clicking a lot of times, and he's going to be like, I want him to do the swing, and then even if he's spamming, he can't click again, because you can only click in this function if it equals to 1. So I'm going to set it to 0 so they can't click on it anymore. My walk speed, I want it to drop it to 80 because I don't want him to be running around while he's swinging the sword. And my rotation also, when he's rotating, I don't want him to be rotating too fast. And then I play his animation. And this thing is called a sequence. This means all these are going to fire simultaneously. First this one, then this one, this one. But they're not going to wait for the whole function to finish. So I need these 3 for this one. Then I create a delay for 1 second, because that's how much the animation lasts. It lasts 1 second. And this is setting up for a second attack, for a 2-hit combo. Let's say, well, I set it up for 3 hit. So I created another boolean. It says sword attack 2, and I started off as false. So it's saying if it's false, which it is at the beginning, after the 1 second, if it's false, that means that the player didn't click again at the correct time, because over here I only give the player like in between the animation to actually click again so he can do the second swing. So I was saying if he didn't click and he only did it once, then you go back to the same walk speed, the same rotation, and you blend the animation, the idle animation, and then your sword count goes back to 1, so he can hack again at his first animation.
All that's just for like 1 second, right?
Yes, this happens after the 1 second. And then this one is kind of a hack that I made so I can make the character like dash a little bit when he does the animation. As you can see, it's tied up with this function, which is tied up with this function, which is saying event when begin play. When you hit the begin play, you're going to cast this timer function, and I'm going to call it dash forward, and it's going to be looping every 0.1 second. This is very similar to an update function. It's going to be updating every 0.01 seconds. So in every second, then I call that function over here dash forward. That's going to be updating every 0.01 seconds. If I set up this boolean, what is it, dash forward, which starts at false, and as soon as I click on when he does the sword attack, well, over here in this sequence, as after the 1 second, after the 0.1 second happens, after I played my animation, the dash forward is going to be true, and then for 0.2 seconds it's going to go back to false. So right here is saying if dash forward is true, which is going to be for like a couple of seconds, very little, you're going to add actor location offset. So you're just going to add to the X to a little bit so he can dash forward, and it's going to sweep. This means that if there's collision, he's not going to go through it. So this is pretty much blueprints. It's very easy and fun. Like all you have to do is like type something if you want. Well, you need the player pawn, get player pawn. That's it, and then you connect it to what you need. So right now,
Can you show us some?
Yes. I'll close it right here. You see, he does it. Or you can just do one. But if you do the animations are way off because I did it manually. The second swing, I didn't put that much effort in it. At least he needs to like come back. But also, let me see, I'm gonna show a video of our other prototype that I did this hack and slash. It's more of a 3D. Oh, it's right here. No, it's not marijuana. Turn that down. Give me 1 second. Alright. This is a third-person hack and slash that we're working on. She says the same sword. It's the same animations. Once you get your animations, you drop the character that you want on it. When he runs, the camera zooms out. When he swings, the camera zooms even more out. Now he's holding the sword differently when he's running. And he does his attacks. He has a 3-hit combo, and he has particles going on. The health of the enemies are going up. You can see how much damage he's doing. He killed one. He gained experience. He's at level 1. That's all he does, is just swing 3-hit combos. And then he's gaining experience, and then he's doing more damage the more levels he gets.
How long did it take you to make that?
This one, like a month. Yeah. All this art, because it's cool because a lot of the art you can get free assets. The art is very expensive if you want to create your own. But a lot of these engines provide a marketplace where you can get free art and just to start practicing on your gameplay mechanics and making your game come to life without having to know how to draw these things. You just need to know how to import everything in the engine. And sometimes you can get these models and just modify it from there. Like that sword was a one-handed sword that came with this, and then I just made it into my own from there. So hopefully, I don't know how much time I have. We did just compete with Ruby Red. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Oh, in Mission. We did the presentation. I don't know if you guys want to see it. It's like 12 minutes. Let me see. Yes.
When you try to design for multiplayer, is there any other consideration that you have to focus on when you...
Network programming. You have to know that in order to make a multiplayer game, you really need to know network programming. It is essential. Yes.
I have a question. All the visual scripting you were doing, can you do that through code instead?
Yes, you can do all that in C++.
Do you recommend doing that?
I have done it. Depends on your project and how much you want to extend it. Because when you have those tools in C++, you can really create your own tools. And like all those tools that I was using in Blueprints, those tools were created with C++. So you do get the whole source engine, so the source code, so you can dig in it and see how they made those tools, and then you can create your own tools and create it. That's why most of the big companies work on a very heavy modified engine. That means that they get the source code and they really modify it so they can have their own tools. Like I know the Anvil Next and Assassin's Creed, like all they do is like drag something and then it's creating a bunch of different buildings, and they're just dragging it and then they modifying it, and then it's like, wow, it's just super easy once you know how to create those tools to help you make a game.
I have another question.
Yes.
The video that we watched, they mentioned that I guess it kind of divided it up. You're either a programmer, a designer, or
Yes. That's if you want to go.
Visual scripting, that would be like the
programming part. Well, there's two parts in programming. It's because he didn't really specify that much, because there is a lot of specifications when you come into the industry. Like he didn't say about environment art, character artist, particle effects, lighting is just one field. And in the programming field, you have your UI programming, your networking programming, your coding. The coding is very different from scripting. The coding is when you do the C++ and you dig into the engine. I don't know none of that, but I've messed around very little. But it's very hard to code. But you code your scripting language, so it could be a lot easier to build your game with just script language, which is a lot easier to read. So, and there's a lot of types of programming in the field, in the game industry.
Is there a lot of math involved?
There's a lot of math when you're creating the engine itself, yes. And also, well, yeah, depending. It's a lot of formulas. A lot of the engine does have a lot of formulas there. You just need to know how to write them down and in the blueprints, which sometimes, like to do a matrix, it's a lot easier in C++, because you have like 0, 0 parentheses, and 0, 1 parentheses, comma, and 0, 2 parentheses, and you can just write it like that. And then in blueprints, you have to put all these nodes and then connect them into each other, and it looks just crazy. It's like, wow. So it is pros and cons on both C++ and blueprints. It is very awesome to work with both at the same time, because C++.
You had mentioned you can mix both, though, right?
You can mix both. Mm-hmm. And I believe Unity also has a visual scripting, but you have to pay for it. You have to buy it. It's like an add-on that they have, and one of the guys made it to do the visual scripting. Because visual scripting is very easy, just like plug in. And a lot of times, when you do the code in C++, you have to write down the whole line, and then you have to compile the engine, and it has to compile, and it takes a long time to compile. In this one, it was taking like 5 minutes, and like that's a lot when you need to compile it a lot of times. And in blueprints, you don't need to. You compile it and compiles very fast. And it's more real time then. But there's still pros and cons on both sides.
When you build games on the Unreal Engine, is that just going to PC or?
No, let me see right here. Okay, so once you have your project up, you go to File, Package, Project. You can do Android, you can do HTML5, iOS, Linux, and Windows. 32 and 64-bit. Another thing for Unity would be platform selection. I know Unity boasts a lot of different platforms. Like they have like 30 platforms that you can export with a click of a button like this. This is why an engine is very efficient, because you can port your game to other consoles or platforms.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So if you are proficient in C++, write your own scripts that you can then implement?
I can actually show you a C++ project that I have. Let me see if I can
Like,
pull
maybe
it
you, I
up.
guess, customize your blueprint then with
Yes.
buttons and things.
Let me see.
Yeah, I was thinking actually it'd be interesting to use the Unreal Engine for like a tutorial or something where somebody could be interacting in the world and they're executing different code or something based on what they're doing. Yeah, because I've never seen the visual photography before.
I'll show you right now. I'm loading it. I have actually one of my first projects. I started with C++ because I did make a game on Android and I programmed it in ActionScript. I did it with Flash Builder, and I did like 5,000 to 9,000 lines of code. It was awesome. And so I was like, I kind of like coding better, and I didn't want to try blueprints at all. So I started doing tutorials on using C++. With the one you have to use is Visual Studios 2013. There's tutorials on how to link it because you have to link the Visual Studios to Unreal Engine, and then you can start. Then you need to compile the engine so it can compile for the first time, and then you can start messing with it. I did find a programmer.
While you're doing that, from the audience, how many of you guys have played with a game engine before? So show of hands.
I am Wanted Game Testers.
Game testers?
Yeah, I am WantedGameTesters.com.
Oh, okay. How does that work?
It's like a website. You have your own profile. You log on, and then you cash out every $50 that you do.
Oh wow! So you can make some money out of it.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know.
The website went out of business years ago, but it was good for like the first 6 years that it was running. We got to work with Activision. We did a lot with Call of Duty, like the first Call of Duty. We messed around with multiplayer. Like, pretty much like we had like flying cows on fire. Like, we did so much like we broke the server and we did so much like
yeah, that's what it's
hacking,
intended to do. Yeah.
wall hacks and stuff like that. We had so many mods.
Nice. Awesome. You raise your hand as well? Yeah.
Developing a game with one of my friends.
Cool.
And we're doing it in the Unreal 4 engine.
Nice.
Perfect.
How far have you gotten?
We have the level design done and all of the character models done. We're programming in animations and interactions with the environment. And working on some of the other.
And you guys using blueprints or C++?
I'm using blueprints. My friend is using C++.
Nice.
She doesn't like the visual.
And it takes a while to compile, right? The engine. Right here, this is what you get. You have your C++ files and your header files. Yes.
There's like something that would be like baby steps, like just to get your feet wet in beginner, like for visual scripting called GamePress, which is the iPad app, and it has a lot of similar menus on there. And I've used it with fifth graders, and there'll be a couple that really lock into it, but it's kind of the same where you're linking actions together, dragging them over, linking them together. It's that visual scripting, and they've come up with some pretty neat stuff. And it's just, it's very basic. It's beginner. It's designed to teach children about it, but the layout is kind of similar to that. And so if you don't know anything about it or want to get started, that would just give you a feel. It's called GamePress.
Does anybody have a different engine that they work with?
I use Unity.
Unity? Okay.
I have a couple of Android apps on the Play Store, but they're mostly just like 2D type things. There's nothing really 3D. Because I've been doing everything myself, so I'm just focusing on that for now.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Well,
so you were showing what?
this is the C++ scripting for it. Where you open your project, you have your C++ files right here and your header files. There's a downtown character header file, and you have to do all this stuff. I don't know. Like I went through some tutorials and built like a fireball that would get bigger when I charge it and then I'll throw it. But like I didn't really know what I was doing that much. Like I was able to complete the tutorial in the resource, but like I can still like create another thing on my own. And then the C++ file where you get character. This is the camera that was linked, the camera boom that was linked to the camera in the editor. This is the begin play function, the one that I showed when it says on begin play to create the time function. And I guess I created this function there when you begin play. This is the tick function. So the visual scripting is a lot easier for me.
Has there been a game developer that has released their game from like visual editor as well? Or?
Yes, most of them use it because of there's a lot of pros that you can get with using C++. I think a lot of like when you're trying to create a post effect, like if you want to have like X-ray vision or like any type of green vision, like night vision, you really need to. I've seen some resources better to know C++ to achieve those type of things, because Blueprints it is kind of limited, but not much. But it is and a lot of developers do have their C++ software engineers. But there are a lot of independent developers that just release their full game on Blueprints. Because as an independent developer, you don't need to create this big AAA title. You can build a game as simple as Flappy Birds, Minecraft, that make billions or millions. And there were like 5 people worked on it. So it just depends on really the project that you want. Never go out of scope. Like when I was going to college, this is one of the things that I would always tell us is like, try to keep your scope narrow first. You know, don't go, oh, I want to make this character. It's going to have 100 levels. At level 5, he's going to have like 3 skills. And at level 10, he's going to have another skills. And he's going to be throwing fireballs and have a sword and 5 swords. And you start just to add stuff and it's like, no, wait a minute, like that's a lot of work. So, and then just getting your hands dirty so you can see how much work it takes to just create something very small. Also, recently, me and my friend, the owners of Cruise Control Entertainment, have have opened our doors to get interns with us. Right now, how we are doing it is we are going to open an academy of our own. It's going to be in that seed building and mission. And from there, whoever attended that academy could intern with us, and also any student that's going to UTRGV or STC or have a background in the field of film, animation, art and programming, you can apply for our internships. And we also want to open our doors here for the Code RGV groups. If you have a cool laptop that can handle Unreal Engine and you want to just stop by and like create a game or something, we'll be here. We're in the 3rd floor right now. Yeah, very soon. We did compete for the Ruby Red to compete for 25,000. This is our slide that we made for them. Just today, we went.
Do you guys use Apple or what kind of laptops, brand?
I'm just gonna go through it very fast.
No Alienware?
No, that's too expensive, and they don't really need that much. That's more for actual gaming. So Cruise Control Entertainment is me and Miguel Cruz, independent developers. This is Cruise Control Entertainment is in McAllen based in the Game Developer Studios, self-publisher, currently having 3 projects in pre-alpha. They are available for download online. We do have a website, and you can download the hack and slash game, the airplane game, and the Pac-Man game. I have a Pac-Man game right there. You can download so you can play around with them. So that slide already showed the $5 billion one, $10 billion. The RGV does not have a video game industry. So Cruise Control Entertainment is here to change that. Because an industry is not one company, it's many companies. So we want to encourage people to come and to learn so they can get encouraged and start their own companies here. If the industry is so big, why hasn't anybody jumped on board? And the answer is because the game development is very difficult to learn on your own. How is Cruise Control Entertainment going to bring the industry to RGV? Our solution is to open an academy to create talent around us, making talent within our cities, and encouraging to open their own studio. I'm the game designer, 5 years of college, yeah, whatever. Miguel Cruz, 5 years of college, 13 years in information technology, and 4 years in C# and C++. This is what we got from the ESA. This is why people buy games the most. First is because of this story. And then the price and the word of mouth. and sequels. So the story is very important when you're creating a game nowadays. So that's why right now we do have interns right now at the moment, but they're mostly writers. We do just paper and pencil, which is cool. We got Isaac Dominguez. He's the lead writer. He has a bachelor in film, and these are the technical writer, and we do have a concept artist at the moment. And this group meets every Tuesday, so anybody, you guys are welcome to come Tuesdays upstairs. Learning game development and cruise control is easy and fun. We know what tools to use and how to use them. If you attend our academy or are currently a student with a degree in art programming film, you qualify. And code RGB people, I didn't mention that. We give you a hands-on learning experience using varying art programs. That's 3D Max. The ZBrush. This is the character. This is the sculpting tool. As you can see, I'm just adding clay to it. And I made that. This is our vigilante that we're making for the story that they're developing. He's supposed to be a vigilante character. And here in ZBrush, you can pre-color it and have like the basic colors. And then in Photoshop, you detail it even more.
Looks like smoke from Mortal Kombat.
And go 3D Max to do those animations. As you can see, well, animations is more like playing with a puppet, and you have your timeline over here, and you have 30 frames because it's 30 frames per second. That's how I knew that my animations last 1 second because I set it for 30. And in each frame, you want to set it up in a different position, and then when you hit play, it'll tween through them, and it'll do the animation how you set it up through the poses. 3D Max is cool. 3D Max is also to draw environment and low poly characters like buildings, trees, and chairs. Like all those little props are built in 3D Max. The Unreal software that we're making for the gameplay mechanics was the blueprints. It's pretty easy to use. This is another thing that we got from the ESA. Which ones sell the most in computer games, and then you got your console games. In the computer games, strategy is what players look for most, and then the casual, and then role-playing, shooter, adventure. And the consoles, action is first, shooter, sports, role-playing, and racing. So like having this information helps you what type of game you want to design if you really want to make money, and not just make your own cool game, you know. I showed a video of my flying airplane. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there he's shooting, he's collecting purple crystals, and over there it says your laser level, and when you collect it, your bar grows, and once you hit level 2, you start shooting 2 lasers. And over here you have your shield, which determines your health. If it runs out, you die. Over there it has the acceleration, how fast you're going. You can go forward and backwards, and your missile count. I don't shoot missiles there, messed up. So I have 5 missiles out of 25. And that one, which we saw already. Cruise control, boot camp. That's how we're calling it our academy. It's kind of like a boot camp. And we're going to offer 3D character art, 3D environment assets, game mechanics using Unreal Engine 4, animations, programming in C++, voice acting, because this new building in the seat has an awesome audio room. Like, it's awesome. And level design, story development, and game design. That's all the whole. I made it, yes, I made it from scratch. From the Flying Pond starter from Unreal. They had a flying, and it was pretty much just a gray ship. And just kind of like the third person where there's nothing really. I deleted all that and replaced my own ship and then put my own art and programmed how my ship wanted to fly because it didn't fly like that. When the building finishes, they're aiming for like May, and then yeah, they're gonna have 40 computers there, so we're gonna house up to 40 students in these classes, and these computers run out of a server, which hopefully we have, so they don't need anything. They're gonna be running through our servers. They just go and sit down and run our software. These are the cells that were expected The first year is like 15,000. It's gonna be mostly we're gonna be mostly making our money first from the academy, and then as you can see, after we build the talent around us and have people that want to stick with us or do their own company, but with people, once we have enough people that want to stick with us, we can actually start building games and selling them. And then once we start selling them, we'll be projecting like 162,000 a year. But our boot camp is essential to create more talent so we can have more help in our studio or their own, because we do want to bring the industry to the valley.
Where mission you gonna be located?
It's on Conway, right? In north. Yeah, I'm not from Mission. I've been there like, is it? You know where it is? The seed building? It's on Conway.
Conway and A3.
Yeah, currently we're located here at McAllen Creative Incubator and moving to Mission Center for Education and Economics Development. So we have the knowledge and we have the space, but we lack the hardware. You know, this is how we were asking for the grant. Like if they give us at least the 15,000, we're going to be able to house 2 interns with us at our studio. But if we get the full 25,000, we're going to be able to house 4 more. This number is actually 2 more to each one because right now we have our computers. So when we get the grant, we're going to get new computers, and the computers that we're using, we have 2 extra ones already. So it's actually 4 and 6. Yes.
Where are you getting the grant from?
It's called Ruby Red Ventures. It's associated with the mission and the UTRGV Economic Development Center. They'll both merge and do something like that. McAllen also has a grant that you can apply to, but there's up to 10,000. We won 2,500 on that one. Yeah, they haven't given us the money yet. Huh?
Still pending.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna give us the money. Yes.
Did I misunderstand? Did you say McAllen also has one of these?
Grant? Yes. Right here with Steve and Ivan. They do it, I don't know how many times a year.
One here?
Yes. We won that one. The innovation group, the INE. We competed in that one. And he told us we won 2,500, but we haven't received the money yet. No, not just yet. All right.
Any final questions? All right, well, if you haven't noticed, I'm texting because I haven't seen the pizza arrive yet, but because it's fully donated, we're willing to bite the hand that feeds us. However, we do have soft drinks as well, of course. After the event, we socialize, as you can already tell, people are already at it. You know, those that raise your hands that are already doing gaming, those that want to get started, approach them. We're very sociable and likable here, right? So make sure you meet each other, share each other's contacts. And please join them with them every Tuesday.
Well, you can go any day, but like right now, the group that we have goes on Tuesdays because that's the only day they can.
Yeah,
but
so
we're here every night and every day, all night. You have to be dedicated to this. We have been at it.
Guys. Don't be afraid of it. As you guys can see, you can do it visually. You can do it with C++. I thought there was a lot more roadblocks, but actually there's not. It looks like just your imagination is going to win. So get to it. Start meeting each other. We'll be around. We usually stick around until the last person leaves. So you guys can stay as long as you guys need, and I'll be checking on the pizza. So don't leave because we get like 32 boxes. So yeah.
Excuse me.
Do me a favor.
There's a company in Farco, I think, Create the Bridge or something like
yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
What makes it different from them?
They create websites.
I know they make software too.
They have some of their employees work.